Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is another read along with the Chattering Magpie and friends. I'm so excited because it's been a week? More than a week since we last met and read together. So, hello and welcome back, everybody. Hey, gang, how are you today?
Good.
Hi.
Happy to see you both here. So I hope you guys had a little bit of a nice break from reading and you rested your vocal cords while we were away. And also that you enjoyed your, I think it was Memorial Day weekend for all of us American peeps here. Anything fun or interesting over the weekend?
Just busy getting ready for a move.
Ooh, that's gotta be hectic.
I worked Memorial Day, so no fun for me.
Hey, but you got paid extra. So, I don't know, Teal, you can probably buy yourself a little something to make up for the missed fun. I don't know. That's what I would do. You know what, you guys? I love months that have three pay periods in them, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is this month a three pay periods month? You guys, there's like months where you get like 3 pay periods, so I like that. No, you can.
It wasn't for me.
No. Oh, I see. Well, maybe it is. I think it's for me. I forget. Anyway, but that's always fun. So use that money wisely with lots of yummy things, and maybe save it towards a little vacation or going somewhere. You know, I'm of the fact that you only live once, so yeah, I save, but I also don't live to work. I work to live, you guys. Yes. Please do not do what I do, by the way. That's just me. But yeah, Turush Mac is also here. Hey Turush, happy to see you. Says greetings and sanitations. What's that supposed to mean? You got some typo there. I hope you meant
salutations. Yeah, you better start cleaning it up, Magpie.
What? Says let's see. Teal, what happened? Says Teal, that's mold. You can wash it off with soap and water. What did I miss? What?
Do you see my message right above?
Is it about the Green Gables?
Yes.
No, isn't mold like black though?
It's any color you want it to be, but it's not mold. I properly painted my gables.
Now,
mold comes in several different colors, Magpie. I'm kind of surprised you don't know this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure, I don't know anything. No, hold on, Teal. Wait a second. Going back to your gable, did you choose the green deliberately? Is it like Teal of the Teal Gables, or how did that happen? Did you pick the color?
The
or
house
what?
was green originally, and it got a fresh coat of paint, and the gables just got a bit darker of a green rather than like an olive green.
Okay. Nice. So you guys still stuck with the green theme. Nice. It's such a nice fresh color. But yes, you're now henceforth Teal of the Teal Gables, unless you want to say Ash of the Green Gables, whichever. All right, Akihana was actually the very first one though on the chat. So let's read her comment. Says, greetings Magpie and Mischief. 'Tis been some time since we had a last read together. Yes, I know, you guys. Last week was hell week. Like, there was a point, you guys. I kid you not. It was on Thursday. On Thursday, I woke up with a migraine. My body ached. I've been working hard, you guys. And I literally felt so pitiful, so sad, and so weak and so helpless that I actually started crying in bed. Yes, I did. And then I took like a pain pill, and then I felt a little better, and then went on my business. But it's been rough, you guys. So I'm happy to be here. And I miss you guys a lot. I hope you guys also miss the read-alongs. If you didn't, then don't tell me. All right. Akihana also says, I hope to join you in the read. Yeah, where are you, Akihana? Wake up, rise and shine, darling. And says, may Conceal shower us with her blessings on this fine day. It's not yet summer, so it's still full training. Though, for some of us, it does feel like summer. Teal, how are you holding up over there? Tell us about your weather.
Well, it's warm, but I'm indoors, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nothing like a good old AC. Also, Crusher says, the return of the read-alongs. Hello, Crusher. I hope you can join us sometime. I don't know if right now you're able to, but whenever you're free, hop on in. And here Teal was sharing. By the way, Teal is one of the senior-most YouTube members. Notice, everybody, that her name next to it, she has a little diamond. She has gone from dark blue to light blue, and now teal. Oh my, I don't know, it just gives me great delight to see her name and then a teal diamond next to it. I'm sorry, you guys.
I'm so proud of you, Magpie. You've actually learned how to shill your own channel.
I'm trying. You guys, I have to admit, you guys, when I was first starting this thing called YouTube, I had no idea what I was doing. And every single video I would say like, subscribe, whatever. And I got like several comments that they were like, it's so annoying when people say subscribe that I absolutely do not subscribe. If it's good, I'll subscribe. You don't have to tell me. So I was like, owie. So I think that's part of why I'm like a little hesitant about shilling, as you say it. But if you don't know it and I don't say it, then nobody's gonna do it. So subscribe, support your Magpie. I will be back to doing scripted content soon, so it will be worthwhile. What's up?
So I was just gonna say, a lot of people find it annoying, and I understand and agree with the sentiment. However, a lot of times people just watch and don't really think about it, and that's why you have a whole lot of viewers who aren't subscribed when you could get more of them to subscribe, and that helps your channel overall.
True. Yes, you don't have to like join the channel. Just hit subscribe or hit a like. Yes, that helps. Thank you. Like, okay, like the videos on the Anne of Green Gables, you know, the little reviews, those are like 79% are watched by people, or like even more, maybe like 80 something percent are watched by people that are not subscribed. I'm like, what gives? Come on, everybody. Yeah.
And a lot of those 79% are repeat viewers. So that's why a lot of channels, and this isn't a dig at anybody in particular, but a lot of channels will say, hey, please smash that like and subscribe, and please comment, because the likes, subscribes, and comments, those are interactions, and in the YouTube algorithm, that really helps with, you know, your favorite content creators getting paid. So this is why a lot of them really emphasize that.
Yep. Yes. Let's see. Let me continue going down the comments. So I got Crusher, hello. Turushmak, greetings and sanitations. Sorry, that made me laugh quite a bit. You know, earlier, I think Patrick and Teal were talking about the battle axe and stuff like that. There came a little pun that was really cute. Made me laugh so much. I needed a laugh. So happy to see you here, Turush. I see Teal is enjoying the emojis that you get to use. Says, I'm a chef, so I'm no stranger to bone apple tea. Bon appetit. And then Trish Max says, I like the little candy heart subscribe animation you used to use. Oh, the candy hearts that kind of fall? Yes, I use those like towards the end of a long video. So I'm glad that you like them. I like them too. You know what I wanted to do though? I wanted to add like the sound. So I got some Skittles, and I don't ever eat Skittles. I don't like them. I should have gotten M&Ms, which I still don't eat, but I probably could finish them. Anyway, sorry, my brain is... This is how I think, you guys. Anyway, I was going to record the sound of a whole bunch of Skittles falling to add to that, but then when I played it back, it was kind of jarring. But just imagine that I literally recorded with my little microphone the sound of Skittles falling for that animation.
Your first step into Foley artistry.
Oh yes, I know. I love those videos when you get to see how they do it in the movies. I try to take inspiration from that. Maybe I'll try it again. I'll have to mix it better.
I like some of the behind the scenes factoids from radio dramas like War of the Worlds, that good old Orson Welles classic where they used flushing toilets to be launching missiles.
Really? That's hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. Once you know what it is, then you can't unhear it.
Oh no, then I better not, because then I'll be like, oh no. By the way, one time I had a friend, and he's a lot into like horror stuff. I don't really dig the stuff, and he knows that I don't, but he was like, how about we go and watch a radio production? And it was really cool. It was actually the War of the Worlds. So you had the people standing there on the stage or sitting in a little high stool, whatever. And they were reading it, and then they were doing like but the sound effects were already pre-recorded. So I didn't get to see that, but we did see like all of the actors like doing all the voiceovers, and that was pretty awesome. And then behind they had a screen showing like I guess what the movie or what they're talking about. Super awesome. I didn't even know those kind of things existed. But yeah, if you get the chance, check out War of the Worlds. It's an oldie but a goodie. By the way, you guys, I know that we're 16 minutes late. 16 minutes into this read along. But I also want to say that the other day I started watching Count of Monte Cristo, because we're going to be reading that after we finish Anne of Green Gables, and it's actually the 2024 version. I hadn't watched that one. I didn't finish it. I was like in the middle of it. Have you watched that, Teal or Patrick?
No,
I have not.
Okay, I think we're gonna do a watch party because I didn't finish it, and it's really cool. It's actually in French, but I love everything about it so far. So we're gonna watch it before we read the book. Is that okay with everybody, or should we watch? What do you think? Should we before or after? Because I've watched it before, just not that version.
I think before is fine, and that's not a self-serving answer at all.
I'm with Teal on this one. Yeah. And it's totally self-serving.
Okay, let's do it before. All right. If you guys are listening to this, keep an eye out. We will do a watch party. I will send out an invitation to my Discord server. Usually the Discord server is open only for members, but I do want to invite anybody who is listening. You don't have to be a member. You can just join us for that watch party. It's usually on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday noonish. It's like 3 hours long, so maybe we'll start at 11 Teal, so you can watch it and you don't have to rush to work. How's that? Does that sound good? Yes? Yeah. Yes. Awesome. So yeah,
you all better join us this time.
Yes. As we finish Anne of Green Gables, I shall put out details for Count of Monte Cristo, and you guys can join us, and then we can read it together on the other channel. Okay, enough chit chat, you guys. This is a read along, and we need to read. We have to read. So today we are going to. Oh, I see Crusher. Crusher says currently refueling. Greetings, everybody. Yes, Crusher. Join us soon if you're able to. Drive home safely. Okay, so today we're going to be reading
Hurry it up.
chapter 25 and 26. And we have quite a lot of rolls today, but thankfully, Patrick's plans changed because it was just going to be Teal and me and then whoever hopped aboard. Thankfully, though, we have distributed the rules in a way that nobody gets taxed and tired. So today, reading we have Anne is going to be... Wait, no, sorry. Teal is going to be reading Anne and Marilla. Patrick is going to be reading Matthew and Mrs. Rachel Lynde. And I shall be reading Diana and Miss Lucilla Harris. Who is this Miss Lucilla Harris, you might ask? How about you stick around and find out? Let's do this, everybody. Chapter 25 and 26. Chapter 25. Matthew insists on puffed sleeves. Matthew was having a bad 10 minutes of it. He had come into the kitchen in the twilight of a cold, gray December evening and had sat down in the woodbox corner to take off his heavy boots, unconscious of the fact that Anne and a bevy of her schoolmates were having a practice of the Fairy Queen in the sitting room. Presently they came trooping through the hall and out into the kitchen, laughing and chattering gaily. They did not see Matthew, who shrank bashfully back into the shadows beyond the woodbox with a boot in one hand and a bootjack in the other, and he watched them shyly for the aforesaid 10 minutes as they put on caps and jackets and talked about the dialogue and the concert. Anne stood among them, bright-eyed and animated as they. But Matthew suddenly became conscious that there was something about her different from her mates. And what worried Matthew was that the difference impressed him as being something that should not exist. Anne had a brighter face, and bigger, starrier eyes, and more delicate features than the other. Even shy, unobservant Matthew had learned to take note of these things. But the difference that disturbed him did not consist in any of these respects. Then, in what did it consist? Matthew was haunted by this question long after the girls had gone, arm in arm, down the long, hard-frozen lane, and Anne had betaken herself to her books. He could not refer it to Marilla, who, he felt, would be sure to sniff scornfully and remark that the only difference she saw between Anne and the other girls was that they sometimes kept their tongues quiet, while Anne never did. This, Matthew felt, would be of no great help. He had recourse to his pipe that evening to help him study it out, much to Marilla's disgust. After 2 hours of smoking and hard reflection, Matthew arrived at a solution of his problem. Anne was not dressed like the other girls. The more Matthew thought about the matter, the more he was convinced that Anne never had been dressed like the other girls, never since she had come to Green Gables. Marilla kept her clothed in plain dark dresses, all made after the same unvarying pattern. If Matthew knew there was such a thing as fashion in dress, it was as much as he did. But he was quite sure that Anne's sleeves did not look at all like the sleeves the other girls wore. He recalled the cluster of little girls he had seen around her that evening, all gay in waists of red and blue and pink and white. And he wondered why Marilla always kept her so plainly and soberly gowned. Of course, it must be all right. Marilla knew best, and Marilla was bringing her up. Probably some wise, inscrutable motive was to be served thereby, but surely it would do no harm to let the child have one pretty dress, something like Diana Barry always wore. Matthew decided that he would give her one, that surely could not be objected to as an unwarranted putting in of his oar. Christmas was only a fortnight off. A nice new dress would be the very thing for a present. Matthew, with a sigh of satisfaction, put away his pipe and went to bed, while Marilla opened all the doors and aired the house. The very next evening, Matthew betook himself to Carmody to buy the dress, determined to get the worst over and have done with it. It would be, he felt assured, no trifling ordeal. There were some things Matthew could buy and prove himself no mean bargainer. But he knew he would be at the mercy of shopkeepers when it came to buying a girl's dress. After much cogitation, Matthew resolved to go to Samuel Lawson's store instead of William Blair's. To be sure, the Cuthberts always had gone to William Blair's. It was almost as much a matter of conscience with them as to attend the Presbyterian church and vote Conservative. But William Blair's 2 daughters frequently waited on customers there, and Matthew held them in absolute dread. He could contrive to deal with them when he knew exactly what he wanted and could point it out, but in such a matter as this, requiring explanation and consultation, Matthew felt he must be sure of a man behind the counter. So he would go to Lawson's, where Samuel or his son would wait on him. Alas, Matthew did not know that Samuel, in the recent expansion of his business, had set up a lady clerk also. She was a niece of his wife's and a very dashing young person indeed, with a huge drooping pompadour, big rolling brown eyes, and a most extensive and bewildering smile. She was dressed with exceeding smartness and wore several bangle bracelets that glittered and rattled and tinkled with every movement of her hands. Matthew was covered with confusion at finding her there at all, and those bangles completely wrecked his wits at one fell swoop. "What can I do for you this evening, Mr. Cuthbert?" Miss Lucilla Harris inquired, briskly and ingratiatingly, tapping the counter with both hands.
Have you any well now, say garden rakes?
Stammered Matthew. Miss Harris looked somewhat surprised, as well she might, to hear a man inquiring for garden rakes in the middle of December. "I believe we have 1 or 2 left over, but they're upstairs in the lumber room. I'll go and see." During her absence, Matthew collected his scattered senses for another effort. When Miss Harris returned with the rake and cheerfully inquired, "Anything else tonight, Mr. Cuthbert?" Matthew took his courage in both hands and replied,
Well now, since you suggest it, I might as well take that as buy some hayseed.
Miss Harris had heard Matthew Cuthbert called odd. She now concluded that he was entirely crazy. "We only keep hayseed in the spring," she explained loftily. "We've none on hand just now."
Oh, certainly, just as you say.
Stammered unhappy Matthew, seizing the rake and making for the door. At the threshold he recollected that he had not paid for it, and he turned miserably back. While Miss Harris was counting on his change, he rallied his powers for a final desperate attempt.
Well now, if it isn't too much trouble, I might as well, that is, I'd like to look at some sugar.
"White or brown?" queried Miss Harris patiently.
Oh, well now, brown.
"There's a barrel of it over there," said Miss Harris, shaking her bangles at it. "It's the only kind we have."
I'll take 20 pounds of it,
said Matthew, with beads of perspiration standing on his forehead. Matthew had driven halfway home before he was his own man again. It had been a gruesome experience, but it served him right, he thought, for committing the heresy of going to a strange store. When he reached home, he hid the rake in the tool house, but the sugar he carried in to Marilla.
"Brown sugar! Whatever possessed you to get so much? You know I never use it except for the hired man's porridge or black fruit cake. Jerry's gone, and I've made my cake long ago. It's not good sugar either. It's coarse and dark. William Blair doesn't usually keep sugar like that.
I thought it might come in handy sometime.
Said Matthew, making good his escape. When Matthew came to think the matter over, he decided that a woman was required to cope with the situation. Marilla was out of the question. Matthew felt sure she would throw cold water on his project at once. Remained only Mrs. Lynde, for of no other woman in Avonlea would Matthew have dared to ask advice.
Magpie,
What? What's up?
you skipped an entire line there.
I did?
Yeah.
Remained only Miss Lynde. Where?
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I saw the out of the question, and then I thought you skipped to remained.
Oh.
I was mistaken.
Okay, continue. I'll go back to the top of the paragraph. When Matthew came to think the matter over, he decided that a woman was required to cope with the situation. Marilla was out of the question. Matthew felt sure she would throw cold water on his project at once. Remained only Mrs. Lynde, for of no other woman in Avonlea would Matthew have dared to ask advice. To Mrs. Lynde he went accordingly, and that good lady promptly took the matter out of the harassed man's hands.
Pick out a dress for you to give to Anne. To be sure I will. I'm going to Carmody tomorrow, and I'll attend to it. Have you something in particular in mind? No? Well, I'll just go by my own judgment then. I believe a nice, rich brown would suit Anne just well. And William Blair has some new Gloria in that's really pretty. Perhaps you'd like me to make it up for her too, saying that if Marilla was to make it, Anne would probably get wind of it before the time and spoil the surprise. Well, I'll do it. No, it isn't a mite of trouble. I like sewing, and I'll make it fit my niece Jenny Gillis, for she and Anne are as like as two peas as far as figure goes. Well, no, I'm much obliged.
Said Matthew.
And I don't know, but I think they make the sleeves different nowadays to what they used to be. It wouldn't be anything asking too much. I'd like them made in the new way. Puffs? Oh, of course. You needn't worry a speck about it, Matthew. I'll make it up in the very latest fashion.
Said Mrs. Lynde. To herself she added when Matthew had gone.
It'll be a real satisfaction to see that poor child wearing something decent for once. The way Marilla dresses her is positively ridiculous. That's what, and I've ached to tell her so plainly for a dozen times. I've held my tongue, though, for I can see Marilla doesn't want advice, and she thinks she knows more about bringing children up than I do, for all she's an old maid. But that's always the way. Folks that has brought up. Wow, I'm sorry. The English is so weird that it's kind of hard for me to read it.
You can do it.
Folks that has brought up children now that there's so hard and fast method that there's no hard and fast method in the world that'll suit every child. But them as have never have that, but them as never have think it's all plain.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. That is hard. That is hard.
Listen, I don't want to give any flack to this author, but
It's very
yeah,
colloquial. It's very colloquial. So, but them must have never have think. Oh gosh. So basically, she's saying those that have never had kids think it's easy, but it's not, or something like that.
yeah.
Just
But
keep
them
trying your
as have
best.
never think it's all plain and easy as rule of 3, just set your 3 terms down to fashion. Down so fashion. And some will work out correct. But flesh and blood don't come under the head of arithmetic, and that's where Marilla Cuthbert makes her mistake. I suppose she's trying to cultivate a spirit of humility in Anne by dressing her as she does, but it's more likely to cultivate envy and discontent. I'm sure the child must feel the difference between her clothes and the other girls, but to think of Matthew taking notice of it. That man is waking up after being asleep for over 60 years.
Good job. Good job.
Oh my goodness, this woman.
Marilla knew all the following fortnight that Matthew had something on his mind, but what it was she could not guess until Christmas Eve when Mrs. Lynde brought up the new dress. Marilla behaved pretty well on the whole, although it is very likely she distrusted Mrs. Lynde's diplomatic explanation that she had made the dress because Matthew was afraid that Anne would find out about it too soon if Marilla made it.
So this is what Matthew has been looking so mysterious over and grinning about to himself for 2 weeks, is it?
She said a little stiffly, but tolerantly.
I knew he was up to some foolishness. Well, I must say I don't think Anne needed any more dresses. I made her 3 good, warm, serviceable ones this fall, and anything more is sheer extravagance. There's enough material in those sleeves alone to make a waist, I declare there is. You'll just pamper Anne's vanity, Matthew, and she's as vain as a peacock now. Well, I hope she'll be satisfied at last, for I know she's been hankering after those silly sleeves ever since they came in, although she never said a word after the first. The puffs have been getting bigger and more ridiculous right along. They're as big as balloons now. Next year, anybody who wears them will have to go through a door sideways.
Christmas morning broke on a beautiful white world. It had been a very mild December, and people had looked forward to a green Christmas, but just enough snow fell softly in the night to transfigure Avonlea. Anne peeped out from her frosted gable window with delighted eyes. The firs in the haunted wood were all feathery and wonderful. The birches and wild cherry trees were outlined in pearl. The plowed fields were stretches of snowy dimples, and there was a crisp tang in the air that was glorious. Anne ran downstairs singing until her voice re-echoed throughout Green Gables.
Merry Christmas, Marilla. Merry Christmas, Matthew. Isn't it a lovely Christmas? I'm so glad it's white. Any other kind of Christmas doesn't seem real, does it? I don't like green Christmases. They're not green. They're just nasty faded browns and grays. What makes people call them green? Why, Matthew, is that for me? Oh, Matthew.
Matthew had sheepishly unfolded the dress from its paper swathings and held it out with a deprecatory glance at Marilla, who feigned to be contemptuously filling the teapot, but nevertheless watched the scene out of the corner of her eye with a rather interested air. Anne took the dress and looked at it in reverent silence. Oh, how pretty it was! A lovely soft brown gloria with all the gloss of silk, a skirt with dainty frills and shirrings, a waist elaborately pin-tucked in the most fashionable way, and a little ruffle of filmy lace at the neck. But the sleeves, they were the crowning glory, long elbow cuffs, and above them two beautiful puffs divided by rows of shirring and bows of brown silk ribbon.
That's a Christmas present for you, Anne.
Said Matthew shyly.
Why, why, Anne, don't you like it? Well now.
For Anne's eyes had suddenly filled with tears.
Like it? Oh, Matthew.
Said Anne laid the dress over a chair and clasped her hands.
Matthew, it's perfectly exquisite. Oh, I can never thank you enough. Look at those sleeves. Oh, it seems to me this must be a happy dream. Well, well, let us have breakfast,
Interrupted Marilla.
I must say, Anne, I don't think you needed the dress. But since Matthew has got it for you, see that you take good care of it. There's a hair ribbon Mrs. Lynde left for you. It's brown, to match the dress. Come now, sit down, sit in. I don't see how I'm going to eat breakfast,
said Anne rapturously.
Breakfast seems so commonplace at such an exciting moment. I'd rather feast my eyes on that dress. I'm so glad that puff sleeves are still fashionable. It did seem to me that I'd never get over it if they went out before I had a dress with them. I'd never have felt quite satisfied, you see. It was lovely of Mrs. Lynde to give me the ribbon, too. I feel that I ought to be a very good girl indeed. It's at times like this I'm sorry I'm not a model little girl, and I always resolve that I will be in the future. But somehow it's hard to carry out your resolutions when irresistible temptations come. Still, I really will make an extra effort after this.
When the commonplace breakfast was over, Diana appeared, crossing the white log bridge in the hollow, a gay little figure in her crimson ulster. Anne flew down the slope to meet her.
Merry Christmas, Diana! And oh, it's a wonderful Christmas. I've something splendid to show you. Matthew has given me the loveliest dress with such sleeves. I couldn't even imagine any nicer.
I've got something more for you, said Anne breathlessly. Here, this box. Aunt Josephine sent us out a big box with ever so many things in it, and this is for you. I'd have brought it over last night, but it didn't come until after dark, and I never feel very comfortable coming through the haunted wood in the dark now. Anne opened the box and peeped in. First, a card for the Anne girl and Merry Christmas written on it, and then a pair of the daintiest little kid slippers with beaded toes and satin bows and glistening buckles.
Oh, Diana, this is too much. I must be dreaming.
I call it providential, said Diana. You won't have to borrow Ruby's slippers now, and that's a blessing, for they're 2 sizes too big for you, and it would be awful to hear a fairy shuffling. Josie Pye would be delighted. Mind you, Rob Wright went home with Gertie Pye from the practice night before last. Did you ever hear anything equal to that? All the Avonlea scholars were in a fever of excitement that day, for the hall had to be decorated and a last grand rehearsal held. The concert came off in the evening and was a pronounced success. The little hall was crowded, all the performers did exceedingly well, but Anne was the bright, particular star of the occasion, as even N.B., in the shape of Josie Pye, dared not deny.
Oh, hasn't it been a brilliant evening?
Sighed Anne, when it was all over and she and Diana were walking home together under a dark, starry sky. Everything went off very well, said Diana practically. I guess we must have made as much as $10. Mind you, Mr. Allen is going to send an account of it to the Charlottetown papers.
Oh, Diana, will we really see our names in print? It makes me thrill to think of it. Your solo was perfectly elegant, Diana. I felt prouder than you did when it was encored. I just said to myself, it is my dear bosom friend who's so honored.
Well, your recitations just brought down the house, Anne. That sad one was simply splendid.
Oh, I was so nervous, Diana. When Mr. Allen called out my name, I really cannot tell how I ever got up on that platform. I felt as if a million eyes were looking at me and through me, and for one dreadful moment I was sure I couldn't begin at all. Then I thought of my lovely puffed sleeves and took courage. I knew that I must live up to those sleeves, Diana. So I started in, and my voice seemed to be coming from ever so far away. I felt just like a parrot. It's providential that I practiced those recitations so often up in the garret, or I'd have never been able to get through. Did I groan all right?
Yes, indeed. You groaned lovely, assured Diana.
I saw old Mrs. Sloane wiping away tears when I sat down. It was splendid to think I had touched somebody's heart. It's so romantic to take part in a concert, isn't it? Oh, it's been a very memorable occasion indeed.
Wasn't the boys' dialogue fine? Gilbert Blythe was just splendid. And I do think it's awful mean the way you treat Gil. Wait till I tell you. When you ran off the platform after the fairy dialogue, one of your roses fell out of your hair. I saw Gil pick it up and put it in his breast pocket. There now, you're so romantic that I'm sure you ought to be pleased at that,
It's nothing to me what that person does.
said Anne loftily.
I simply never waste a thought on him, Diana.
That night, Marilla and Matthew, who had been out to a concert for the first time in 20 years, sat for a while by the kitchen fire after Anne had gone to bed.
Well, now, I guess our Anne did as well as any of them,
Said Matthew proudly.
Yes, she did. She's a bright child, Matthew. And she looked real nice, too. I've been kind of opposed to this concert scheme, but I suppose there's no real harm in it after all. Anyhow, I was proud of Anne tonight, although I'm not going to tell her so.
Well, now, I was proud of her, and I did tell her so before she went upstairs.
Said Matthew.
We must see what we can do for her some of these days, Marilla. I guess she'll need something more than Avonlea school by and by.
There's time enough to think of that. She's only 13 in March. Though tonight it struck me she was growing quite a big girl. Mrs. Lynde made that dress a mite too long, and it makes Anne look so tall. She's quick to learn, and I guess the best thing we can do for her will be to send her to Queen's after a spell. But nothing need be said about that for a year or two yet.
Well, no. It'll do no harm thinking it over off and on. Things like that are all the better for lots of thinking over.
End of chapter. We got through it.
So I do enjoy when an author can use slang or different ways of speaking to characterize a character, but sometimes that makes reading it so difficult.
I get it. Like the Rachel part, she has like a little way of I don't know, like I don't know why she talks like that, but yeah, like she puts like all these words that are kind of like jumbled up. It kind of feels like that, but you did good.
So
you got through it.
She feels a little uneducated at times, but at the same time, it seems like maybe that's just how they spoke back at the time that this book was written, or maybe that's just the prose.
Probably, yeah. I think that. Teal?
Well, it was about 117 years ago.
Oh,
So-
dang, that is
Very
quite
true.
a while ago.
And I'm sure that our language has evolved considerably since then.
I mean, it evolves like every I don't know, like I saw a video that came across my short feed about alpha. Like, okay, Gen Alpha language is absolutely I don't understand it, you guys. Skibbity, since I don't know. I'm like, I don't know what you all mean. Bet, cap. I don't know.
Yeah, Gen Alpha language is pretty much a whole entire language unto itself.
Yeah, so I think every generation kind of has like its own little linguistic quirks. So maybe she was trying to show like how like Rachel Lynde's generation spoke, because she doesn't speak like Marilla does either. Like
That's why I'm thinking she's. I don't want to say she's dumber because I don't think she is, but she seems a little less educated.
I think it's more, she's such a busybody. She has this very familiar tone with everyone. She talks very...
I could see that one too.
Yeah. What do you think, Crusher? Do you see Crusher? Crusher has just joined us. Welcome.
A wild Crusher appears.
By the way, we also had Red Tempest at some point in the chat. Red, you're so elusive. Why? Like, I never see you until... like...
Red's in the hangout room watching a video with Kate right now.
Oh, I see. So... I guess our company...
He's cheating on us.
I guess our company's just not good enough. I see how it is, Red. But, you know what? It's okay. I forgive you because I love you. Both you and Kate, enjoy your time. They're
Currently
watching a journey.
Currently enjoying Lumpia.
A journey through another. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, so enjoy your time. Happy to see you. If you join us for the replay, awesome. I hope you've enjoyed it. We also see. There was a comment somewhere here that made me laugh. No, Red, I did not ignore you. I was actually reading. And yes, Theo says Dragoner was not... Exactly, Dragoner was just not on your side. And then Turishmak pointed out that the chat window was about a little bit too slow. And I checked and I rectified the situation over on my end. So I should have the most recent comments up now.
Well, I see Crusher's comment and then 2 Ekihana comments that aren't showing up in the window yet.
Gee, I don't know why that's happening. Hold on, let me see if I can fix that again. Welcome, Akihana, if you're able to hop aboard the server. Here we go. Got it.
She said she's eating breakfast.
No! Breakfast later! Chat now! Breakfast later!
There we go. There we go. You moved the window up. I
Yes,
thought that was the problem.
That is a problem. Let's see, who else? Yeah, you're not a disturbance, Red. Nobody's a disturbance. Unless it's Patrick. He's a disturbance sometimes. But even so, I still appreciate
You love this disturbance.
Alright, I'm done eating. What are we doing? What are we reading?
We are reading Anne of Green Gables. Do you want to read a roll?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so...
I need links.
Let me see.
Links, people.
Links. Let me see. Jeez. Hold on a second.
I think this next chapter is all female roles.
Oh no! Well, here's
and
a link
Diana
you can follow.
and Marilla.
There's a link, you can follow it. You can do Diana. I put it on hashtag voice chat. We're reading chapter 26. You can do Diana. You cool?
Sure.
Awesome.
Must be my dearest bosom friend.
Aw, how sweet. Alright. Like we said, we're now reading one more chapter. I'm trying to read... There was a comment I wanted to point out that was... Jeez, I lost it. Where is it? Fully... Oh! Yeah, Turashmak points out fully memories of Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. I love that anime. It's so hilarious. I love that one so much. Thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna give it a rewatch. For those of you who don't know, it's about like some girls doing a anime club. They do animated movies. They're hilarious. And the opening song is super catchy. I think it's really, really good. Yeah, check it out. But yeah, there was at some point they needed to put sound to like their animated movie. So and they go to like this room somewhere in the school, and it's like a huge library of just recordings of like Foley recordings. And there's this one student in that club who's just like super like obsessive about their collection. Anyway, so yeah, check it out. Yeah, that was the comment that I was looking for, just because I wanted to recommend it. It's a fun one. And also, I think I really like the world building of that one. I've never seen a world that was like so intricate. Like it's like a city on top of a city, and it has like tunnels, and it's really cool. So check it out. Yes, Treasure Mac is also encouraging Crusher to put on his best falsetto. Right. Okay.
Wait, what is that again?
To-
Voice acting?
Falsetto.
It's when you have a really high voice.
Yeah.
Ah,
You
okay.
do it like I learned it in my voice, like that.
Okay.
And by the way, Patrick, thank you for the super chat. It says support the magpie. Should I shill again? I think I already shilled though, but thank you for
Oh, you
Yeah,
did, but
okay.
I like to do my little plug every now and then.
Thank you. And yes, when you become a member, you have access to little emojis that are only for this, exclusive to users of this channel. All right, so let us continue. Oh, I see Liz is here. Welcome, Liz. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Okay. So let's now read chapter 26. It's the story club is formed. Are you ready, everybody? Yes, I'll take
Ready.
this. Yes, let's do it.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Chapter.
Let's go.
Lovely. Yes, he's ready. Chapter 26. The story club is formed. Junior Avonlea found it hard to settle down to humdrum existence again. To Anne in particular, things seemed fearfully flat, stale, and unprofitable after the goblet of excitement she had been sipping for weeks. Could she go back to the former quiet pleasures of those faraway days before the concert? At first, as she told Diana, she did not really think she could.
I'm positively certain, Diana, that life can never be quite the same again as it was in those olden days,
She said mournfully, as if referring to a period of at least 50 years back.
Perhaps after a while I'll get used to it, but I'm afraid concerts spoil people for everyday life. I suppose that is why Marilla disapproves of them. Marilla's such a sensible woman. It must be a great deal better to be sensible. But still, I don't believe I'd really want to be a sensible person, because they are so unromantic. Mrs. Lynde says there's no danger of my ever being one, but you can never tell. I feel just now that I may grow up to be sensible yet. But perhaps that is only because I'm tired. I simply couldn't sleep last night for ever so long. I just lay awake and imagine the concert over and over again. That's one splendid thing about such affairs. It's so lovely to look back to them.
Eventually, however, Avonlea School slipped back into its old groove and took up its old interests. To be sure, the concert left traces. Ruby Gillis and Emma White, who had quarreled over a point of precedence in their platform seats, no longer sat at the same desk, and the promising friendship of 3 years was broken up. Josie Pye and Julia Bell did not speak for 3 months because Josie Pye had told Bessie Wright that Julia Bell's bow, when she got up to recite, made her think of a chicken jerking its head. Sorry, that's so silly. Because Josie Pye had told Bessie Wright that Julia Bell's bow, when she got up to recite, made her think of a chicken jerking its head, and Bessie told Julia. None of the Sloanes would have any dealings with the Bells because the Bells had declared that the Sloanes had too much to do in the program, and the Sloanes had retorted that the Bells were not capable of doing the little they had to do properly. Finally, Charlie Sloane fought Moody Spurgeon Macpherson because Moody Spurgeon had said that Anne Shirley put on airs about her recitations, and Moody Spurgeon was licked. Consequently, Moody Spurgeon's sister, Ella May, would not speak to Anne Shirley all the rest of the winter. With the exception of these trifling frictions, work in Miss Stacy's little kingdom went on with regularity and smoothness. The winter weeks slipped by. It was an unusually mild winter, with so little snow that Anne and Diana could go to school nearly every day by way of the bridge path. On Anne's birthday, they were tripping lightly down it, keeping eyes and ears alert amid their chatter, for Miss Stacy had told them that they must soon write a composition on A Winter's Walk in the Woods, and it behooved them to be observant.
Just think, Diana, I'm 13 years old today,
remarked Anne in an odd voice.
I can scarcely realize that I'm in my teens. When I woke this morning, it seemed to me that everything must be different. You've been 13 for a month, so I suppose it doesn't seem such a novelty to you as it does to me. It makes life seem so much more interesting. In 2 more years, I'll be really grown up. It's a great comfort to think that I'll be able to use big words then without being laughed at.
Ruby Gillis says she means to have a beau as soon as she's 15,
said Diana.
Ruby Gillis thinks of nothing but beaux,
said Anne disdainfully.
She's actually delighted when anyone writes her name up in a take notice for all she pretends to be so mad. But I'm afraid that it is an uncharitable speech. Mrs. Allen says we should never make uncharitable speeches. But they do slip out so often before you think, don't they? I simply can't talk about Josie Pye without making an uncharitable speech, so I never mention her at all. You may have noticed that. I'm trying to be as much like Mrs. Allen as I possibly can, for I think she's perfect. Mr. Allen thinks so too. Mrs. Lynde says he just worships the ground she treads on, and she doesn't really think it right for a minister to set his affections so much on a mortal being. But then, Diana, even ministers are human and have their besetting sins just like everybody else. I had such an interesting talk with Mrs. Allen about besetting sins last Sunday afternoon. There are just a few things it's proper to talk about on Sundays, and that is one of them. My besetting sin is imagining too much and forgetting my duties. I'm striving very hard to overcome it, and now that I'm really 13, perhaps I'll get on better.
In 4 more years, we'll be able to put our hair up,
said Diana.
Alice Bell is only 16, and she is wearing hers up, but I think that's ridiculous. I shall wait until I'm 17.
If I had Alice Bell's crooked nose,
said Anne decidedly,
I wouldn't, but there, I won't say what I was going to because it was extremely uncharitable. Besides, I was comparing it with my own nose, and that's vanity. I'm afraid I think too much about my nose ever since I heard that compliment about it long ago. It really is a great comfort to me. Oh, Diana, look! There's a rabbit! That's something to remember for our woods composition. I really think the woods are just as lovely in winter as in summer. They're so white and still, as if they were asleep and dreaming pretty dreams.
I won't mind writing that composition when its time comes,
sighed Diana.
I can manage to write about the woods, but the one we're to hand in Monday is terrible. The idea of Miss Stacy telling us to write a story out of our own heads.
Why, it's as easy as a wink,
said Anne.
It's easy for you because you have an imagination,
retorted Diana.
But what would you do if you had been born without one? I suppose you have your composition all done?
Anne nodded, trying hard not to look virtuously complacent and failing miserably.
I wrote it last Monday evening. It's called The Jealous Rival, or In Death Not Divided. I read it to Marilla, and she said it was stuff and nonsense. Then I read it to Matthew, and he said it was fine. That is the kind of critic I like. It's a sad, sweet story. I just cried like a child while I was writing it. It's about two beautiful maidens called Cordelia Montmorency and Geraldine Seymour, who lived in the same village and were devotedly attached to each other. Cordelia was a regal brunette with a coronet of midnight hair and duskly flashing eyes. Geraldine was a queenly blonde with hair like spun gold and velvety purple eyes.
I never saw anybody with purple eyes,
said Diana dubiously.
Neither did I. I just imagined them. I wanted something out of the common. Geraldine had an alabaster brow, too. I found out what an alabaster brow is. That is one of the advantages of being 13. You know so much more than you did when you were only 12.
Well, what became of Cordelia and Geraldine?
Asked Diana, who was beginning to feel rather interested in their fate.
They grew in beauty, side by side, until they were 16. Then Bertram de Vere came to their native village and fell in love with the fair Geraldine. He saved her life when her horse ran away with her in a carriage, and she fainted in his arms as he carried her home 3 miles, because, you understand, the carriage was all smashed up. I found it rather hard to imagine the proposal because I had no experience to go by. I asked Ruby Gillis if she knew anything about how men proposed because I thought she'd likely be an authority on the subject, having so many sisters married. Ruby told me she was hid in the hall pantry when Malcolm Andres proposed to her sister Susan. She said Malcolm told Susan that his dad had given him the farm in his own name and then said, "What do you say, darling pet, if we get hitched this fall?" And Susan said, "Yes, no, I don't know, let me see." And there they were, engaged as quick as that. But I don't think that sort of proposal was a very romantic one. So in the end, I had to imagine it out as well as I could. I made it very flowery and poetical, and Bertram went on his knees, although Ruby Gillis says it isn't done nowadays. Geraldine accepted him in a speech a page long. I can tell you I took a lot of trouble with that speech. I rewrote it 5 times, and I look upon it as my masterpiece. Bertram gave her a diamond ring and a ruby necklace and told her they would go to Europe for a wedding tour, for he was immensely wealthy. But then, alas, shadows began to darken over their path. Cordelia was secretly in love with Bertram herself, and when Geraldine told her about the engagement, she was simply furious, especially when she saw the necklace and diamond ring. All her affection for Geraldine turned to bitter hate as she vowed that she should never marry Bertram. But she pretended to be Geraldine's friend the same as ever. One evening, they were standing on the bridge over a rushing, turbulent stream, and Cordelia, thinking they were alone, pushed Geraldine over the brink with a wild, mocking, "Ha, ha, ha!" But Bertram saw it all, and he at once plunged into the current, exclaiming, "I will save thee, my peerless Geraldine." But alas, he had forgotten he couldn't swim, and they were both drowned, clasped in each other's arms. Their bodies were washed ashore soon afterwards. They were buried in the one grave, and their funeral was most imposing, Diana. It's so much more romantic to end a story up with a funeral than a wedding. As for Cordelia, she went insane with remorse and was shut up in a lunatic asylum. I thought that was a poetical retribution for her crime.
How perfectly lovely!
Sighed Diana, who belonged to Matthew's school of critics.
I don't see how you can make up such thrilling things out of your own head, Anne. I wish my imagination was as good as yours.
It would be if only you'd cultivate it,
said Anne cheeringly.
I've just thought of a plan, Diana. Let you and me have a story club all our own and write stories for practice. I'll help you along until you can do them by yourself. You ought to cultivate your imagination, you know. Miss Stacy says so. Only we must take the right way. I told her about the haunted wood, but she said we went the wrong way about it in that.
This was how the story club came into existence. It was limited to Diana and Anne at first, but soon it was extended to include Jane Andrews and Ruby Gillis and one or two others who felt that their imaginations needed cultivating. No boys were allowed in it, although Ruby Gillis opined that their admission would make it more exciting. And each member had to produce one story a week.
It's extremely interesting.
Anne told Marilla.
Each girl has to read her story out loud, and then we talk it over. We're going to keep them all sacredly and have them to read to our descendants. We each write under a nom de plume. Mine is Rosamond Montmorency. All the girls do pretty well. Ruby Gillis is rather sentimental. She puts too much love-making into her stories, and you know too much is worse than too little. Jane never puts any because she says it makes her feel so silly when she has to read it out loud. Jane's stories are extremely sensible. Then Diana puts too many murders into hers. She says most of the time she doesn't know what to do with the people, so she kills them off to get rid of them. I mostly always have to tell them what to write about, but that isn't hard, for I have millions of ideas. I think this story writing business is the foolishest yet,
Scoffed Marilla.
You'll get a pack of nonsense into your heads and waste time that should be put on your lessons. Reading stories is bad enough, but writing them is worse. But we're so careful to put a moral into them all, Marilla,
explained Anne.
I insist upon that. All the good people are rewarded, and all the bad ones are suitably punished. I'm sure that must have been a wholesome effect. The moral is the great thing. Mr. Allen says so. I read one of my stories to him and Mrs. Allen, and they both agreed that the moral was excellent. Only they laughed in the wrong places. I like it better when people cry. Jane and Ruby almost always cry when I come to the pathetic parts. Diana wrote her Aunt Josephine about our club, and her Aunt Josephine wrote back that we were to send her some of our stories. So we copied out 4 of our very best and sent them. Miss Josephine Barry wrote back that she had never read anything so amusing in her life. That kind of puzzled us because the stories were all very pathetic and almost everybody died. But I'm glad Miss Barry liked them. It shows our club is doing some good in the world. Mrs. Allen says that ought to be our object in everything. I do really try to make it my object, but I forget so often when I'm having fun. I hope I shall be a little like Mrs. Allen when I grow up. Do you think there is any prospect of it, Marilla? I shouldn't say there's a great deal.
Was Marilla's encouraging answer.
I'm sure Mrs. Allen was never such a silly, forgetful little girl as you are. No, but she wasn't always so good as she is now either,
said Anne seriously.
She told me so herself. That is, she said she was a dreadful mischief when she was a girl and was always getting into scrapes. I felt so encouraged when I heard that. Is it very wicked of me, Marilla, to feel encouraged when I hear that other people have been bad and mischievous? Mrs. Lynde says it is. Mrs. Lynde says she always feels shocked when she hears of anyone having been naughty, no matter how small they were. Mrs. Lynde said she once heard a minister confess that when he was a boy, he stole a strawberry tart out of his aunt's pantry, and she never had any respect for that minister again. Now, I wouldn't have felt that way. I'd have thought that it was real noble of him to confess it, and I'd have thought what an encouraging thing it would be for small boys nowadays who do naughty things and are sorry for them to know that perhaps they may grow up to be ministers in spite of it. That's how I'd feel, Marilla. The way I feel at present, Anne,
said Marilla,
is that it's high time you had those dishes washed. You've taken half an hour longer than you should with all your chattering. Learn to work first and talk afterward.
End of chapter.
Whew.
Oh,
Wow.
Marilla, you are just way too practical.
Teal, good job on all of those long. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. Like that was just freaking hilarious.
I know. I broke up a little.
I-
Anne wasn't laughing, but
I
it's
know.
too funny.
Yeah, and I didn't help because I literally laughed while you were reading.
I was gonna say you held it together better than Magpie.
I'm sorry. I just like a good laugh, and that was a silly story. You guys, they did such a good job illustrating this in the anime. I really liked it. So if you are interested in seeing full-on illustration of Geraldine and Bertram's tragic story, then go and watch episode. I think it was 7. Well, one of the recent episodes.
So I thought the story was much better in the anime than in the book because it has much more youthful foolishness in the book.
Yes. So the book, it's Anne telling it like, and this and that and that. So it's like one thing after another. All of those, I don't know, just absurdities of a child trying to talk about terrible things. Like, oh my goodness, girl. Yeah. Wait until you yourself are fighting over a man with another friend or another girl. It's not fun.
Ooh, any foreshadowing to future
What happened, Magpie?
romance?
Huh? No, not
What
me.
happened?
I'm just saying, like, maybe in the future, like, there'll be something. I don't know. You never know. With Anne, not me. I'm saying with Anne.
Foreshadowing to a certain unnamed child.
I don't know. We don't know. Probably. I don't know. Just saying, and it's actually a general thing. Just she's still a kid, so she's what, 13 here, so she's like thinking like, oh, like being a teenager, like it's so good because now I know a lot of things more than I did at 12. I remember when I turned 13, like I was so like anxious because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna become a real teen. It's not that special, but when you're that age, it does feel special. So, but she's still a child in every sense that counts.
Someone posted some art.
Okay, we'll check it out in a little bit. Let me just see some. Oh, so by the way, Patrick, I saw this comment that you said that Anne is a hypocrite. I don't know about hypocrite, but there's sometimes I'm like, that was kind of unkind, and that was kind of
Oh, come on.
mean.
She's talking about other girls' vanity when she's probably one of the more vain ones there.
A little. Has she already learned her lesson about the vanity in this one? Not yet, right?
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
I think she's still quite vain, but
Okay, yeah.
I think she's learning.
She hasn't yet been healed of her vanity, because I was like, girl, why are you being so mean talking about this girl? Okay, here's this girl code. At least for me and my friends, we never talk other girls down or each other down. It's just something like solidarity. Like, if a girl like you think like is not so pretty, then don't like. And that was wrong, and you deserve what you got coming. You do not say things about girls.
Oh my god, look at her butt.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Look at her nose.
Look at her now. She's
Did
like,
you see that blouse she's wearing? Oh my god.
so yeah, so Anne is she's not a perfect character. She does have her things, but she's gonna learn a little bit coming up about her vanity. By the way, I saw some people bringing up Datland somewhere here, comparing her to Josephine.
Careful. Careful, you say that name enough, you might get a certain Quebecian.
Oh, that's fine. I would love for Noemi to join us, by the by. Yeah, none of the Canadians want to join. This is like it's the most hilarious thing in the world, you guys. I would have never thought. I thought that would be like Anne of Green Gables is like a point of pride for them, and they're like, nope. They nope the hell out of this.
To be fair, from their accounts, it's been shoved down their throats so much from childhood that they want nothing to do with it anymore.
I get it, I guess. All right.
But to be fair, we get quite a few American authors that are shoved down our throats, like a certain
Hunger Games.
Well, that one.
Well, Disney also. We got like a lot of Disney entertainment, but I don't think I've ever gotten sick of Disney movies. At least the ones that I do.
I was gonna say Mark Twain.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say F. Scott Fitzgerald. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like they still make kids read Great Gatsby.
Yeah, Great Gatsby. I remember. Yeah.
It's a good book, but some school-related trauma there.
Ernest Hemingway is probably one of the ones that I can't stand the most.
I don't think I've ever been made to read Ernest Hemingway, so like my school district had us.
Oh, thank your lucky stars, because reading Old Man and the Sea is just a slog.
I am so glad I never had to read Moby Dick or Ernest Hemingway, because it's kind of dull prose. But we were forced to read. Oh, what was that? Oh, I forgot. Oh, I had to read at least one Dickens every year. I'm like, no,
Charles Dickens?
Really? Yeah, no, I don't like Charles Dickens. Darl's Chickens.
I've never actually read one of his books.
Yeah,
I've always watched the movies when they do A Christmas Carol.
I haven't even read The Christmas Carol. But we had to do Great Expectations, which is the only book in my entire life that like I literally had to like just make up whatever in the final test essay, because I didn't finish reading it. I was just like, I can't stand this book. I did read others by him, but that was for pleasure. I guess you could say for pleasure. On my own, wasn't required, but there were that one. There was Bleak House, Little Dorrit, Our Mutual Friend, and others that had to be read. Nicholas Nickleby. No, Nicholas Nickleby is not by him. There's another one. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, we have that. But actually, Dickens is British or English or whatever, so that doesn't count. Anyway, all that to say is maybe one day the Canadians will join us, but don't hold your breath, everybody. They don't care. Steinbeck. Oh, Trish Mack brings up Steinbeck. You know what? I did like East of Eden by Steinbeck. I didn't have to read Grapes of Wrath. Or Of Mice and Men, but I actually just found Steinbeck in the library, and I was like, I'm gonna read him, and then I read it. I like the cover of the book, so I read it. Just because of the cover, you guys.
So, Grapes of Wrath, I can see why a lot of people hate that book. It is a classic, and for obvious reasons, it's just, some of the subject matter is hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. A little depressing too, honestly.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So here's some other content about Purple Eyes. I think L.M. Montgomery had a thing for Purple Eyes because she had one of her main characters. I think it was Emily of New Moon, of the Emily of New Moon series. She was dark-haired and had purple eyes. So I think that's just like one of those things that authors have a thing for. So maybe she just liked that. I've never seen Purple Eyes, though I wouldn't rule them out. There's people that have all kinds of different colored eyes. I remember Scott Farkas had yellow eyes, so I mean, there's bound to be any kind of eyes. I'm sure if we went to Jürgen Schmidt, we would find all sorts of rainbowy eyes. But purple's going to be rare.
Ooh, rainbow eyes are my favorite.
Darth Mine eyes. Oh, yes.
I was gonna say Darth Mine.
Mm-hmm. And then somehow we got to a conversation about Nom de Plumes. Crusher, what was that all about? Was it...
Mine would be anonymous.
Anonymous. It reminds me of AB Normal. Yes.
What
Anonymous.
brain did you bring me? It was Abby's brain. Abby. You know, Abby Normal.
Uh-huh.
Abby Normal. I love that movie.
Or it would be either anonymous or like some kind of noble sounding name like Count Innocuous. I don't know.
Do check out that movie,
Count.
Young Frankenstein.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yep. That's where the
Young
AB Normal's
Frankenstein.
from. I forget if it's Young Frankenstein or Frankenstein. I forget. He had a thing about his name. Anyway, continuing on. I actually used to write under like a little nom de plume, I guess. And I just use the email, but I used to actually like in Wattpad. This is back in the day, okay? Wattpad. I would write. I had a little nom de plume. Really stupid. I'll never disclose the name because the stories were so stupid, you guys. Hopefully you would write something of more substance, like stories.
It's weird. Pretty much every girl I talk to that mentions Wattpad looks back at it in like disgust or shame.
Well, probably because the stuff that you write as a teenager is just bad in many ways. In many ways. By the way, okay. So I'm gonna show. I just saw the AI art. I shall share it with the world because I think this is gold, you guys. Let's see. I don't know.
He had forgotten he couldn't swim.
He forgot he couldn't swim. Teal, did you ever write anything that was shameful or dumb?
Embarrassing?
Uh-huh.
Well, of course.
Yeah, please tell us about it because I feel like really.
I don't know if I want to talk about it.
Tell
I did.
Tell me more.
I was gonna say, if she's ashamed of it, then why would she share?
Because I want a kindred spirit.
It was mostly embarrassing poetry in those days. I hadn't the attention span to write any great masterpiece works.
I really admire that. I really do. I could never write poetry to save my life, so that's really cool. Though I get it. Like a lot of people actually are harsher on people writing poetry because they're like, oh, I write poetry. They're like, oh, one of those people. Like I kind of feel like there's like more kind of like, oh, a poet rather than, oh, he's a novelist. Like, oh my gosh, a poet. Oh. So I get it. For me, I admire people that are good with words, like that can find the right word. There's such a satisfaction in finding the right word. So I know you know that.
I'm much better at writing words than speaking them.
Probably me too. As you guys have been able to tell, sometimes I'm just like, how do you say this word? By the way, I am sharing.
Well, that's because you're bilingual. That's actually something that's very common with bilingual and polyglot people. They stumble for their words.
Yeah. Wish I didn't though. All right. So I'm showing on the screen Geraldine and Bertram.
You're laughing. They're drowning and you're laughing.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry, that's just hilarious. She pushed her.
I mean, to be fair, this is why Anne is surprised that people laugh at her stories rather than
That was, yeah. Rather be, she's like, I don't understand why she thinks it was very amusing since it's supposed to be sad. By the way, I kind of feel though that Geraldine was supposed to be blonde though.
She was.
Yeah, she's supposed to be the blonde, and then the bad girl, she's supposed to be the brunette. But I guess
the brunette was the bad girl.
The bad girl, yeah. So I see Bertram is kissing the wrong girl, and he's jumping over. We're missing a blonde here somewhere, but I guess this is kind of like what was the other, Cordelia?
AI is being AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my explanation.
Yeah, there you go. AI is being AI. Thank you for sharing this. You guys, I have had so much fun. But the fun has to end, unfortunately. There's some stuff I have to take care of. I just got some message. You guys, my sister's car broke down, so gotta go see to some stuff.
Prayers for the sister.
Yeah, my poor sister, her little car. So gonna go rescue her at work. So take care, you guys. I had so much fun reading with you guys. So here we have today reading. We had Teal reading Anne and Marilla. Patrick was read by Patrick reading Matthew.
Yes, I was read by
Patrick reading Matthew and Rachel.
Matthew.
What did I say? What did I say? Did I do it wrong? Sheesh. Patrick reading Matthew and Rachel, and then Crusher and Magpie read Diana, and then Magpie read Miss Lucilla Harris. And highlights brought to you thanks to the work of Teal and Hiremi, who hasn't joined us in a while, but hopefully she can join us one of these days. So happy to see you all. See you on Friday. Oh, and let me not forget, thank you so much to Crusher and Patrick, who also supported this channel via Super Chat. You guys are the bestest of the best. Thank you to all of the subscribers and
You're
supporters.
the best
in the world.
around.
Yep. No. Stop it. Okay, I gotta go. I'll see you guys on Friday. Be sure to join us. It'll be fun. Bye, gang.
Bye-bye.
Adios. All right, beautiful folks.